Good morning to you. Mark Zeta with HurricaneTrack.com here, tracking Hurricane Zeta today, the 28th day of October. It is Wednesday, and I am in Mississippi. We have a great network of cameras and pressure sensors, all kinds of stuff set up here. I'll get into that in a moment. But this is it. We're going to have the landfall of another hurricane along the Gulf Coast today into the evening, and then it's going to spread into the southeast and deep south and the mid-Atlantic and bring a variety of impacts. I said for the last several days that I thought that this would overachieve. I still think it could get to that 100 mile per hour mark. We'll see about that. But the bottom line is this is going to have some significant impacts, especially considering that it is late October. I mean, we're going to have Halloween here coming up in just 3 days, and then the election is Tuesday, and, you know, that's November, for goodness sakes. So, wow, what a season. So here's the latest stats on Zeta. 976 pressure, 90 miles per hour according to Recon. They are probably going to find stronger winds than that as we go forward. I will explain a little bit of as to why I believe that. And then this is going to track inland over the southeast. As I mentioned, a storm surge is coming with this system. The overtopping of non-federal levee systems is possible in southeastern Louisiana, outside of the major hurricane and storm surge damage risk reduction system. And we're going to look at storm surge closer in just a moment. Hurricane conditions, not only at the coast, but that's going to spread inland. Then strong damaging wind gusts. This is very important. Item number 3 right here, all the way into the deep parts of the southeast. Interior Mississippi, Alabama, up into Georgia. Massive trees down. Strong wind gusts. This is a different hurricane than you are used to seeing because of the time of year that it is and the fact that it's interacting with a very powerful cold core energy system that is coming out of and come out of the Four Corners region. Then some heavy rain. Certainly we don't want to diminish the impact of rain, but at least on this one, it is not as impactful overall, the rain threat, because this will be moving quickly. We're not going to have to worry about too much in the way of severe impacts from rain. So this will give you an idea. Look at this. Look at what's going on. In the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, winter type advisories, winter impacts from ice, snow, freezing rain, all that kind of stuff. Yuck. Cold air over here. And then just a few hundred miles to the southeast in the Gulf Coast region, hurricane warning for portions in Louisiana, Mississippi, and vicinity, and then inland from there, inland tropical storm warnings and flood watches, etc. I mean, this is a big deal. This is unusual, and once it does make landfall later today, unless something really dramatic happens and it weakens below hurricane strength. Hang on, my alarm is going off to wake me up. There we go. All right. I'm already awake. I'm right here. We couldn't let that just keep going and just ruin this whole thing. So inland, this is going to be a big problem. Inland as well. This is an unusual pattern. Late October, you got this energy that's been diving out of the Four Corners region, and then you got the hurricane coming up through here, and they're going to combine over the southeast and then up through the mid-Atlantic as this exits out over the western Atlantic Ocean. This is going to be a big impact event. You're going to see ending up probably with millions of people without power, and, you know, we saw it coming. At least I did. I just, the pattern seemed to fit. Not trying to brag, but I mean, all that talk earlier, several days ago, of the cooler Gulf, well, it's going to keep it from becoming a major hurricane, a Category 3 or higher, yes, and that is a blessing, but it's not going to result in no impacts. And that's what I wanted to make sure people understood. So here's the radars just coming into view here, the central dense overcast, the main part of the hurricane and the tropical storm force winds likely in that area. A few lighter showers already rotating onshore from the Mississippi Sound into southeastern Louisiana. If you're traveling, this is extremely important. If you are traveling out of Atlanta, down I-85, and then eventually 65, and then I-10 corridor, or you're coming south along Mississippi's interstate system, you're going to really need to pay attention to this. I-20 out of Birmingham, this system coming up through here is going to potentially, and this is I'm serious. This is very, very important. As I say, read my lips. If you know truckers that are out there, a lot of people watch my videos, not millions of people. That would be great. We could get the message out to more people. But one thing I do not think they are mentioning specifically on television coverage, and I'm not knocking it, it's just I've been in a lot of darn hurricanes. I know what's coming. Please, if you know truckers that are doing long-haul trucking or short-haul trucking, whatever, they're driving a semi, people driving RVs, and you're in those interstates, especially because those are the heavily traveled corridors, please tell them to avoid this hurricane because they're going to get blown off the road and they could be injured or killed. I'm absolutely serious about that. The whole region up here, interstate travel, especially high-profile vehicles, the semis with their big trucks, the containers on the back, and some of them have the dual systems, and then any RVs, okay? Maybe some snowbirds are starting to come south. I don't know. You got to be careful. I mean, we saw it in Mobile. We were trying to cross Mobile Bay, Mike Farrow and myself, during Sally when it was making landfall that day. And right in front of us, only by a few minutes, a semi got blown over on the bridge going across Mobile Bay. And we only missed it by a few minutes. We were there before law enforcement really shut things down. So I'm extremely concerned about that. The I-10 corridor, I-85, I-65, especially I-20, today, tonight, and tomorrow. Warn the truckers. Warn the RV people. Seriously. Along the coast, this is remarkable. Storm surge problems from a Yankee town all the way over to Intracoastal City. Why? Because that's a lot of energy input to the Gulf of Mexico from this hurricane. And then you have this huge concave shape overall, and it just catches that surge very efficiently. The highest potential values, Mississippi coast over to maybe Dauphin Island at 6 to 9 feet. Not everywhere is going to see that. Some areas may exceed 9 feet. These are the potential, and this is an experimental graphic here, these are the potential surge values. If kind of everything comes together at the right time and track and whatnot, the computer modeling is suggesting these values. Hopefully you've been through this enough to understand how this works, and you're prepared for it. Boats have left marinas, or they are moored properly. People are not out there on the coast if they don't need to be, especially in Mississippi and parts of eastern Louisiana, all the way down Port Fourchon, all the way over to the mouth of the Mississippi and eastern parts of Louisiana, and even up here Lake Pontchartrain, 3 to 5 feet. And I might be looking at relocating some cameras, by the way. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. The next threat we're going to talk about real quick is the slight chance, and this is the good news here. There is not all bad news. There is some good news. Overall, the yellow, slight chance of some serious flooding. Luckily, this is at the low end of the impact scale that we track. The main thing is the surge at the coast and the massive wind damage that I think is going to occur somewhere in this region as Zeta moves inland this evening, tonight, and through tomorrow. You're going to see, Metro Atlanta, areas west of there, our good friend and supporter David over in Buchanan, Georgia, he knows. He's got that one oak tree. I saw it. I think it's an oak that blew over. I've been to his house. He helped us with a piece of equipment, actually. But yeah, this is going to impact people. Some of these people I know personally, so it matters to me. I want to make sure you're aware of it. Real quick look at the GFS. This is the very latest from the 12Z, and we only are looking out for the next 12 to 18, 24 hours or so. This is it. This is the final minutes, so to speak, of the game. I don't like that word because it sounds diminishing, but that's the overall analogy that people understand. We are in the closing minutes of the game, and this game, of course, has some serious consequences. So here is Zeta. Actually, the GFS has it initialized at, well, let's go back one frame because that's 6 hours out. Well, it's not going to let me. That's fine. Anyway, it shows 981, but the pressure right now is actually 976, but whatever. So let me draw this in like sky blue. So here is the center of Zeta now, or it's forecast to be at 2 p.m. today anyway. And then here's where it is forecast to be at 8 p.m. today, or 7 Central, and that's basically right over New Orleans. Yes, the GFS suggesting that this comes across Metro New Orleans. I think going right over the city won't be as bad as if it were to come just west of the city, and that puts New Orleans right here in that right front quadrant. So once again, we're going to come down to the point that every mile is going to count in terms of the impacts to that major metropolitan city, mainly from wind. Yes, there could be some overtopping issues with the levees there and storm surge problems, but wind on those buildings, because this is going to interact with that cold core storm, and we're going to get some pretty significant gusts. These downbursts of wind are going to happen, and they're going to cause some damage. And I think people are going to be surprised by that. And then the other issue, of course, is the storm surge across Mississippi, eastern Louisiana, of course, Mississippi, and then into Alabama. And I think the extent of that will be Dauphin Island and points west in terms of the highest surge. But again, that's going to be very localized. Any small bays, any areas where the water can really focus, your normally prone areas, and you guys know these if you live down there. If you know an area usually floods, but this is a little different. Zeta is coming in from the southwest this time. It's not coming in from the southeast. It's not coming from due south. The trajectory is a little bit different. And so I think we're going to have a different aspect to the surge that maybe we haven't seen before. And the other component is it's going to come up pretty quickly because Zeta is going to be moving so fast. That surge is going to jump up in the last hours before landfall, and in fact, probably like the last 90 minutes. And hopefully this will all happen before it gets dark. We'll see. So we are tracking it, and we are doing so through our efforts created and supported by our crowdfunding group. How do you become a part of it? I'm really going to push this today as we're out there live on YouTube and Facebook. This is a crowdfunded, incredible project. How do you join? It's right there. You can go to HurricaneTrack.com, click on this little banner here. You go to Patreon. What we have done is tied in our crowdfunding funding source, which is through Patreon. But Patreon itself is not like PayPal, where it just collects funds for people, or Kickstarter or GoFundMe, and hands them over to the creator. Patreon itself has its own universe of blogging, Twitter, Facebook-like features. It's really amazing. I can post stuff. Jack Sillen posts stuff there. We interact with each other. It's like its own, like I said, closed universe. And actually, some of it we can make public. So, click on it, you'll understand. So Patreon is how we connect this HurricaneTrack Insider service that we provide. What do we do? Well, once you sign up here on Patreon, you log in here with the same email address that you use on Patreon. Then you go to this, our HurricaneTrack Insider homepage. That's where we connect the two. So we have our chat. These are real people. There's me talking to people. Deborah's been around a long time, 15 years, well before Patreon, seriously. Ethan signed up today. So, this is incredible. These are the real people that are supporting this project. Then you have the incredible tools, starting with the interactive tracking map. There is nothing like this available anywhere else. And I mean that. You can say that about a lot of things. This is absolutely true. Look at this. You got the tracking map. You can go in and you can add the radar on top of it. Come on. This is absolutely amazing. There's different layers. You can look at it from the physical side, what's called a physical map, if you know geography. You can look at from an oceanographic perspective, where you can see the bathymetry. Dude, wow. And this was all created by one of our patrons, Will Woodgate from the UK. All of our cameras are on there, and this is the network that I have set up. And I'm going to talk about this for a minute. And not only that, of course, I'm encouraging you to become part of this because we want the funding to grow, but it's also freaking awesome. And there's nothing like this from anybody else. And that being said, I can kind of show you what we're going to do. Here's our cameras as far east as Biloxi. And then we got one up here on the I-10 interchange. We got one over here in Waveland. And this is what they look like. You click on one of those cameras, there you go, live shot. I think that I am going to take some of these cameras, maybe one or two of them. I might relocate the Biloxi cam to somewhere, maybe over here. I don't know. We're going to have to see. I'm definitely going to take this one, and that's also where our weather station is, and we're going to put it over at the Waveland I-10-603 interchange, because we have this weather station. I'll show you a picture of that in a moment. What the data is, but we're going to do a little bit of relocating, and then we, as a crew, myself, Charles, probably Greg, and then our good friend Derek Thompson. He's a storm chaser, and he also has a great company that helps to set up the tornado sirens with, I think he works with Federal Signal. Anyway, Derek's going to join us. He's got one of those trucks like you see in Twister or, in Tornado Alley with all the instruments on it like my Tahoe used to have. Anyway, we're all going to get together, and the idea is to try to get out here somewhere and launch the weather balloon, the Herbie payload. It's actually sitting right over here behind me, the actual payload, into the eye of this thing when it comes in. And if we can do that before it gets dark, remember we were trying to do it during Delta, and it got dark on us. And Delta had it didn't really have a center, at least once it got to us up near Lake Arthur. Anyhow, we have a shot. If this will come in about 1 hour earlier than expected, I think we have a real good shot at launching it. And it's ironic, it'd be near the NASA Stennis Space Center. And there's an airstrip out there, actually. So, and the I-10 corridor is very wide. We can do this very safely. But the map also shows you the street level accuracy, of our system. And you can see that the center line, and this is the center of the eye, and the eye itself is like 15 miles wide plus. So you can see if the eye comes through here like that, New Orleans gets in it. We'll see. And then that surge coming in on that right front quadrant all through here is going to really pile into the coast. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where you can zoom in and see our camera systems. This is down at the Erie Pier in Gulfport. That's really going to jump up. This is what we do with your funding. It is not a subscription. It is not buying something from me. You are teaming up. You are investing. I really hope you'll, if you're able to do it. I get it. The economy, not the best right now, but we also have it all on a dashboard. This is what you get access to. It's all part of what we do. And then, of course, the weather data. And this is the one that's out at I-10. It's just east of Gulfport. I don't remember the highway. And I'm going to relocate this to near Waveland at I-10 and 603. And just as a note, in case you're watching it, the pressure sensor is not working, but there will be a pressure sensor inside of it recording. It's just not transmitting live. And that's actually not a bad thing. We're getting ready to transition over to something different, and it wasn't ready yet. But the wind data is live. Everything's working great with it. It updates every minute. You can just sit there and watch the page, and every minute those numbers, or at least the wind data, the average 1 minute and the gust will update right in front of your eyes. And once again, it's all funded through Patreon, patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. I would really like to see us get to 1,000 patrons, even if it's $1, the $1 to $10 to 25, anything in between, you choose. That's the beauty of it. If we can get to 1,000 in this event, that would be so cool. We're right at about 900 now, and it would just cap off an incredible year. I mean, look at that. The Z alphabet, the Greek alphabet. It's not like we went back to Z, like 26 letters. It's, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, zeta. Wow. Historic season. We're here. We're covering it. I appreciate your support. I'm going to shut up so I can post this and get out and start covering it out in the field. We're live on YouTube, Facebook Live. Got a great crew. Mike Cornelius, Kari over in the UK, Will, I've mentioned, CJ, all the people on the chat. It's just remarkable. It really is. David and Buchanan, thanks for that device that you helped to weld together. Oh my gosh, we're talking about something that is absolutely unique. Excuse me, I'm not choking up. Haven't talked much today, so my throat's getting scratchy. And I feel great, actually, so I'm ready to go. I'm just thrilled to death. I'm excited about this because we have such great support, and I appreciate it more than you can possibly know. And we are making a difference, and it's all thanks to you. All right, that's it from me. I am Mark Zeta. You know that, from HurricaneTrack. I'll see you once we're out on the old Hurricane Highway here in Mississippi and maybe even Louisiana. You guys stay safe. I'll see you once we're out there. Thanks for watching.